This is Burke, so far off the map that it might as well not exist.
And yet, this movie exists. Also narration. The fake sheep is attached to a bell that is gently tickled by the speeding dragon instead of the entire bell and its housing being violently ripped out of the ground. Such a worthy change from the original movie.
Dragons.
If this wooden door can withstand dragon fire, why are the dragons a problem at all? Just build everything out of this mythical door material.
Grunkles, Nadders, Silverwax, Skrells.
Excitement?
The meathead with attitude and interchangeable hands is Gobber.
Who is narrating Hiccup in the future talking to right now? It's not us, right?
Guard the food stores. Aye, Chief. Protect the livestock.
Why would the village Vikings need to be reminded to do these things? Especially since the dragon raids happen regularly enough to make a movie about it. Twice! This stunt is only impressive because the Norse god of convenience decided to make this guttering line up exactly with the fire on this house.
It's fully redesigned.
Hiccup's cannon now has 2 barrels instead of the single barrel from the first movie. And that's about as fully redesigned as this movie is.
They found the sheep.
To be fair, you hid them in a very standard looking hut. If the dragon attacks are so frequent, why not hide them underground or surrounded by that wood Hiccup store is made of?
And then there's the monstrous nightmare.
Imagine being so impressed with your own rock climbing skills that you refuse to use your wings.
Come on, give me something to shoot.
What happened to the Night Fury being characterized as the dragon that never shows itself? I guess dragon that never shows itself until our main character needs to bring it down doesn't have quite the same ring. Why has Hiccup designed his cannon in a way that means he has to awkwardly reach across himself to grab one lever, pull it back, and then pull a second lever before firing happens?
You're all right. Let's see what else you're made of.
At first glance, I'd have to say a few thousand pounds of muscle, razor-sharp claws, and a set of you teeth, none of which appear to be usable. Because now is the time to take off the cloak and get to business. Not before, when there were other dragon attacks, but this time, because it's more dramatic that way. Vikings, man.
Every time you step outside, disaster happens.
Honest parenting. Chief told Hiccup to,
Get back to the house.
with an emphasis for Gobber to,
Make sure he stays there.
so you'd think Gobber will be getting into some sort of trouble for walking away from the house within a second or so of the door closing behind Hiccup. But no, it's no big deal. Chief's words mean nothing and we carry on. Tra-la-la.
We're all descendants of the finest dragon fighters from everywhere Vikings ever traveled.
But mainly Scotland.
We are the warriors of Berk, the roughest, toughest tribe this side of the sun.
That's a weird way to say the thing I think he means, unless he's aware of space Vikings inhabiting other planets that I've missed.
Retcha, your people came from the Far East.
Gretchen doesn't get a cool story about battle? Just from a location is all she needs? Oof, that seems descriptionist.
Do we stand a chance of finding the nest before the ice sets in?
Using the mystical forces of bone marrow to ask, do I have a chance of winning the lottery, instead of asking for the lottery numbers themselves. Disrespecting what appears to be your only map.
He's got a mind of his own. Gets that from his mother. Look what happened to her.
Negligent father blames dead mom for a strange kid cliche. Hiccup systematically makes marks on this inaccurate map after he sees more trees, because why use a scientific method of searching in a grid pattern when you can wander hither and thither?
How can I lose an entire dragon?
Possibly because it would be almost impossible to tell where it landed unless you knew exactly how big it is. Could have been a giant dragon really far away or a tiny dragon very close. Not to mention the fact that maybe your genius invention didn't prevent it from landing, biting its way free, and then flying away again. Bringing a tiny dagger to a plasma-breathing Night Fury fight. Toothless appears to be covered in far more rope than we saw Hiccup launch from his magic dragon-catching contraption. Toothless seems content to accept his fate, instead of bathing this fool in his poorly adapted haircut in magenta flames.
Not like you, Dad.
You think I can do these things, Marlin, but I can't. Cliche.
No more this.
Use your sister to all of me.
I hope DreamWorks got a huge discount on Gerard Butler's feet, considering they're clearly reusing his audio from the first movie.
I'll be back. Probably.
It's dark out. Is the Viking community leaving for the Dragon Island at night? That seems like a terrible idea. Am I a better Viking than they are? If there's one reason to be thankful for the zoom in on Astrid's behind, I suppose it's so that I can more easily sin the lack of skulls on her skirt. That was the best part of OG Astrid's outfit.
I'm just excited to see some real, live dragons up close.
Was the up close part of the village attack not enough?
You're skinny, you're weak,
and make you less of a target.
Or they'll see you as an easy target and a quick meal. But since Gobber steps in before anyone is in real danger, it doesn't really matter one way or another.
The deadly nada.
Attack 8, armor 16,
The hideous stippleback.
plus length and stealth ×2.
Why did you give the armor and attack stat of the first dragon, but just the stealth of the second? They'll do an entirely different stat for the third dragon, which means I have no basis for comparison for any of these numbers. You can't just say random nerd things and expect to be cool, nerd.
Aren't you gonna, teach us something first? I believe in learning on the job.
Yes, but this isn't learning on the job because this isn't the eventual job. This is supposed to be the training.
Shields are good for another thing. Noise.
So why didn't we see anyone use that method in the opening sequence? No one.
Remember, all dragons have a limited number of blasts. How many's a Grunkle have?
Ooh, 6!
What an oddly specific evolutionary inconvenience.
We're pretty much gonna be the stars of this thing.
Almost like we were meant to be together.
It's an elimination game, genius. There's only one top slayer.
And reshowmance in every reality competition show ever.
The dragon will always go for the kill.
This just seems like one of those lines that's meant to inject intensity into a very PG situation, considering the dragon attack at the start of the film did not show dragons killing a single person. Not collecting the rare dragon scales for sweet armor accessorizing or something cool for craft night. You know Hiccup absolutely indulges in craft night. Listen, I don't dragon biology much, but it's always bugged me that Toothless struggles to fly this much without a tail fin. And don't give me some, well, the aerodynamics just don't support flight without a tail fin exactly this size in proportion to the body. It's a mythical fire-breathing wing lizard, Maverick. Also, how did it get such a clean break? There's no blood, bone, or exposed tissue. It looks like the fin was very neatly, almost surgically clipped off. I don't think it's a huge leap of logic to assume that Hiccup actually manufactured this situation so he could Florence Nightingale affect himself into getting a pet dragon. Oh, Hiccup has realized he can make millions of dollars by turning this adventure into an animated hit. Also, why did he draw the side that was clearly missing first?
It's our most hallowed possession.
And I'll slam it down on the dinner table between the slop and mead because why not?
Why would I read words when I can just kill the stuff the words tell me stuff about?
People who don't read the Bible for themselves.
I've even made, cards.
Shamelessly plugging the stupid card game that came after the first movie.
Nadders are quick and light on their feet.
But don't worry, they love to give you a solid heads up by drooling on you before they attack. Forgetting to say thank you when a cat has shared its dead things with you. Why does it look like the insides of this fish are made of overnight oats? And why did he take such a huge bite? It appears Toothless has drawn some sort of portrait of Hiccup with his brain spooling out all over the place, indicating his ultimate plan to murder the human and examine what lies inside. We did not get that movie. Hiccup works in the forge all night long to make a tail for Toothless and no one notices. Not even Gobber, who also works there and would have never allowed weapons to be smelt into a tail fin. Considering his father was making a big deal about having to feed the village for winter, no one seems concerned that Hiccup is leaving with a huge basket of fish. I don't know if any of you have tried to manhandle a cat's tail while they're eating, but those of you who have will respect this. Hiccup survives this sin on a deep and personal level.
It's working!
Right, but how is little wimpy Hiccup able to use the weakest part of the arm to hold out the tail bit with all that wind resistance while hanging on to the rest of the dragon for dear life?
One head breathes gas, and the other head lights it. Your job is to know which is which.
Because it is physically impossible to just wet both of the heads and sort it out later.
Hey! It's us, geniuses!
This is at least 50% on the geniuses who designed the Viking helmets to look like dragon heads. Remember when we were told that the dragons kill, but then the teens keep surviving the training? I do. This abacus will be center screened several times, and all it does is remind me of every miniature golf experience I've ever had. The point system is ill-defined, the tallying is inconsistent, and no one seems to be taking it seriously other than me.
Now, think about what you've done.
No one watching this surprising turn of events with rapt attention notices a massive eel being tossed into their pen and questions what that was about.
I'm gonna die!
Unkeepable promises.
I'd love to explain, it's just I left my axe back in the ring.
Why keep this newfound knowledge a secret? Not like he could become even more of an embarrassment. He could make up how the dragon training ideas come to him and be just as much of an outcast. Hiccup is now assuming that because Toothless doesn't like eels, the other dragons won't either. And because Toothless doesn't like flower fluff, the others won't. It ends up working, but this means that the dragons share all of these traits as a species, despite their variations, which is really stupid and lazy storytelling.
What exactly was that?
Okay, see, I'd love to explain.
There are actually plenty of ways Hiccup could explain this. He could simply say, I have terrible allergies, and I wondered if dragons did too. Instead, he acts like the only option is to admit he has a pet dragon or run away looking suspicious as
So, no nest then?
Not even close.
To be fair, if you didn't find it, then by definition, you have no idea how close you were or were not.
Everyone is so relieved. Good riddance to old Hiccup.
The village is relieved that Hiccup is finally worth something now that he can manage some dragon shit. Forget that most of the villagers are headed to the docks to find out if their loved ones survived the horrible trip to their foggy deaths at the hands of the chief. That doesn't matter when the kid may finally have conformed to their Viking cult. Woo!
My fault! My fault!
Deploying and retracting the tail fin allows Toothless to gain and lose altitude, but I don't know how he's controlling everything else, or why Toothless, a clearly intelligent being, is allowing himself to be steered into danger. How the f do you design these clips to keep you safe during flight, but forget that going down is a crucial element of flying? This entire flight scene is gorgeous and wild, and two become one and all that glorious shit. But it's also boring and totally expected, not just because it's literally been done before by this exact franchise, but because there's no real tension. They wouldn't kill the two main characters with a splat to their deaths at the halfway point of the movie. The halfway point? We have another hour? Why? Guess I won't be needing this anymore.
Just how long did you think you could hide it from me? Let's talk about that dragon.
Stoic is, of course, talking about how well Hiccup has done in trials, but decides to only talk about one dragon and masks it in anger to make it seem like he knows about Toothless. It's dumb and contrived, and I want movies to stop pretending these fake-outs inspire anything other than a huge eye roll.
We finally have something to talk about.
Because talking about anything else they may have in common, even on a biological level, is just not ideal when the big strong man has a tiny wimpy kid.
I brought you something. Keep you safe in the ring.
It would have been just as useful to give this to you at the start of the trials, but I didn't care if you lived or died until you started winning.
Your mother would have wanted you to have it. It's half of her breastplate.
It's fortunate that one breast fit Stoic's head and the other fit Hiccup's. The female body is a wonder of adaptability. Also, someone didn't do a lot of female armor research before crafting their movie, and it shows.
It keeps her close, you know.
Not bonding with your son for all of his life until this moment when you tell him both of your heads are nestled in a cavity. I refuse to believe that Astrid would arrive at the secret spot and not spot even a hiding Toothless. Hiccup should be coming upon a murder scene and Astrid covered in dragon blood. I feel like if Astrid had decided to stick to the thick forest back here, like the badass dragon fighter she claims to be, Toothless wouldn't have been able to pick her up. Although it could, the movie decides to show no facts about how Toothless's claws are able to hold on to Astrid even though she has nothing on her back to hold on to. This is attempted murder, right? Just flinging someone onto the steep rocks over a fall to their certain death, right?
I'm not listening to anything you have to say.
Then I won't speak. Just let us show you.
What are you going to show her, Hiccup? Something shimmering or sparkling, perhaps? Are you going to open her eyes? Will you go over sideways or perhaps under? Will you take her wonder by wonder?
We worked out a whole system, remember?
A whole system that has apparently been superseded by the plot's need for Toothless to be in charge of a wild flight. Should it matter that up until now, Hiccup had to manage shifting the tail direction so Toothless could fly this way or that? Nope, nah, not at all. That was earlier. Now it's better if Toothless has some autonomy.
Thank you for nothing, you useless reptile.
If there's one line that I could point to sum up how hollow this movie leaves me, it's this one. It's a great line in the first movie with an even better delivery from Jay Baruchel. So unique that I don't think it can be repeated, nor should it. It's like playing the hits, except all the instruments are out of tune, and the tribute band was so proud of its punny name that it never bothered to learn the songs. Toothless has been compelled to fly to the island, summoned by instinct to join the flight to the nest he cannot resist until later, when somehow all the important dragons can resist for reasons.
You gonna take everyone on for a magical ride?
Are you, Hiccup? Are you gonna take him soaring, tumbling, and freewheeling through an endless diamond sky?
But you botched our escape plan, so I'm gonna need a minute.
I mean, he could drop her off and fly off anyway. It's not like he has anything to lose at this point. And bonus, no sequels. Why did Toothless bring them here? He seemed to follow some compulsion, but now it just seems for purely expositional purposes. It would have been pretty rad if he were compelled to feed Hiccup and Astrid to the dragon and then they had to convince him not to.
They're the workers, and that's their queen. They're alpha. It controls them.
This is why we never hear about the Viking David Attenborough. What's the point when kids like Astrid have an entire species locked down after a 30-second observation?
You have something I don't. So, I'm going to stand by you.
Astrid goes from determined dragon slaying, I'm gonna be the chief someday badass, to stand by your man because he can ride a dragon real fucking quick. This hiccuping goes on for all the 30 fucking seconds of the sum time. The trials happen every year and are yet to be established as not in any way, shape, or form safe enough to be a spectator event. A lot of the blame for what happens next here is firmly on Gobber, who could have had a brief heads-up chat with his longtime chief friend regarding Hiccup's unique approach. Just a sort of, you will be shocked, because it's nothing like you've seen so far, but it's effective. Because theoretically, Hiccup could teach an entire tribe to lull dragons to a state of docility and lob their heads off. How entirely convenient that the dragon in the death pit screamed loud enough for Toothless to hear him across the island. Not only that, but it said, "I'm about to eat this very specific human that you have probably bonded with. I'll give you all the time you need to run across the island before I actually eat him." Now, all the villagers pile into the pit to come after the Night Fury, but not to save Hiccup moments ago. So I guess they're not really that excited about Hiccup being one of them after all.
Stay back!
Wild that no one is impressed that Hiccup stopped a Night Fury from eating his dad.
So everything in the ring, what, a trick? A lie?
It didn't involve violence, but it still required skill. It wasn't a lie any more than throwing water over them was a lie.
The dragon. That's what you're worried about. Not the people you almost killed.
Movie doubles down on cheap tension by making adults irrational and never fixing it. Want some drama? Just blame the kid. Doesn't matter for what. Tower falls in the opening from Dragonfire? Totally Hiccup's fault. Stoic says he almost got people killed. Which people exactly? The ones running from the Night Fury who jumped to the pit on their own? Nope. Astrid nearly roasted by the fire dragon? Also nope. Random balcony villagers? Still nope. At this point, the chief might as well blame him for inventing the dragon problem in the first place.
I'm the first Viking in who knows how long who wouldn't kill a dragon.
First to ride one, though.
They can't know either of those things are true.
It's something crazy.
That's more like it.
And then they walk all the way back home at a thoughtful distance without talking, so that Astrid is just as surprised about the plan as the rest of the teens, because why talk while you walk? This would suggest that they got here by following Toothless's twitches and head movements. So does this mean Toothless is always steering back toward the nest? How would you distinguish a random head movement from one aimed at the nest? The movie doesn't care to explain and is confusing as f***.
I can't pull this off without you guys.
He can't?
And you all have something special to offer.
They do?
That's where that went.
This means that one of their ships did find the nest. They just never made it back to tell the story. So if there's a ship that never returned, wouldn't that be a good place to keep searching for the nest? Or were they like, well, Steve and his crew never returned. I assume they got sick of Viking life and decided to be pirates forever. No need to follow up on what happened to them. I think it's strange that Hiccup's tricks work on all dragons. Toothless I can understand, because he didn't kill him when he had the chance. He brought him food and repaired his wing. These dragons have been imprisoned by humans for who knows how long, so you'd think they'd be a bit less receptive and a bit more bitey.
Where are you going? You're gonna need something to help you hold on.
Yep, he will. They all will. But not the sort of saddle that takes weeks to perfect, so they don't fall off in a wild dragon ride. Just some twine and shit will do. The Vikings are setting up for war with no dragon interference. Not one dragon around their nest. I'm no military tactician, but I think it's usually a common practice to wait until you can see the enemy before unleashing all of your ammunition into an abyss. Oh man, I'm tired. I think I'm gonna let Jeremy from 2015 handle this one.
I do not believe you can punch holes in mountains by lobbing small rocks at it. I just don't think that makes any logical or scientific sense at all. Even if the mountain is hollow and has walls this thin, you're still on thin ice with me, movie.
Also, 10 years delayed. Also, why are they even firing at the mountain? What makes them think the nest is inside the mountain? Or that they'll be able to break through, especially when they are clearly expecting the battle to be fought out here? I'm calling absolute horseradish on the accuracy of this shot. Also, we finally get to see just how big the dragon population is, and it's big enough that I do not see how they haven't completely eradicated the Vikings from the face of the earth. This isn't a fight. I honestly think the dragons are farming the humans and deliberately not killing them so they can keep producing food. And if that's what's happening, it would have been nice for the movie to f***ing acknowledge it. Since the dragons appear to be programmed to feed the queen dragon, why aren't they snapping this convenient takeout that has been DoorDash straight to their nest?
Buy them some time. Give that thing something to hunt. And I can double that time.
I don't think that's how distracting a dragon math works. So when you said give it something to hunt, you meant throw a rock at it and then stand still until it kills you? I'm sure your people will appreciate the 4.5 seconds of escape time you bought them.
That thing is their queen! They're inclined to do whatever it says!
The movie will not explain how they have accomplished the ability to override their queen-dominating instincts and fire on her. And it didn't have to be complicated. Just show me a little pew-pew button or something, and it would be better than building up this whole queen control shit that doesn't really pay off at all. Hiccup is holding on during this bumpy ride with nothing other than a few fingertips on Astrid's hips and a clenched ass, I presume.
This thing doesn't have a blind spot!
Fishleg sees this thing has 6 eyes and immediately assumes it has a similar amount on its asshole.
Is that my kid?
You mean that speck of an individual that you shouldn't even be able to recognize as a human form?
I was only trying to protect you.
In the most demeaning and self-serving way possible, but at least I tried.
I can't believe that worked!
This worked. This entire movie has been about how there is another option other than fighting when it comes to living alongside dragons. A theme that is explored in this compelling climax where dragons are forced to fight other dragons the Vikings have decided they can't live with. This fight has some very specific tactics that require Toothless to aim for specific body parts, and then ultimately chuck a blast inside the big dragon's mouth after a dive spin. When did Hiccup and Toothless form this mind meld-esque bond that allows them to both navigate this intricate battle? Too bad Hiccup attended the Prometheus school of flying away from flamey things. Hiccup will survive this, and with no explanation. I guess the flames decided to localize themselves to just 1 foot. Toothless lets everyone cry, thinking Hiccup is dead, before revealing that he's clutched in his dirty dragon paws. What a dick. Also, if I didn't know better, I'd say Toothless bit his foot off as payback for the wing. It's the only way the convenient symmetry makes sense. Where are the humans watching over Hiccup to be sure he's getting some water and nutrition while he's been unconscious for however long? Did they just leave it up to Toothless? Toothless can't do that shit. He can't even remove the big old rug from the floor to help Hiccup walk without tripping.
So what do you think?
I think the weather mysteriously improved now that the conflict at the heart of the movie has finished. Wasn't winter supposed to be coming?
Flying back here was quite an experience, let me tell you.
Yep, and we once again didn't see how everyone returned home. Imagine having the ability to expand on the story in a unique way in a new movie, but skipping over it all again. Show us the village training dragons and making saddles while Hiccup remained unconscious, losing blood for days on end, fighting gangrene. Show us who figured out how to fly Toothless back across the water.
You want to take it for a spin?
Turning Toothless into a cat puppy horse thing. I refuse to believe none of these kids would have fallen to their deaths by now. She's upside down with nothing but centrifugal force on her side.
The only upsides are the pets.
Pets? Toothless is like a f***ing person. He literally understands English, has empathy, protects his loved ones, and obeys orders. Oh, and he could eat you. So come up with a new way to describe them. This copy and paste act of creative futility made over 630 million worldwide.
Oh, Dad, you're embarrassing me again!
We are
The pirates who don't do anything.
I've not seen my Willie in 2 years, which is long enough to declare legally dead.
Must talk to him. Tell him he is a pretty cat. And a good cat.
Why would I read words?
I was elected to lead, not to read.
I'm Batman.
It's working!
It's working! It's working!
The wind in mine! Cheat sheet!
I'm a leaf on the wind. Watch out.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour!
Stick with me.
And you'll never go hungry again! Ready your breakfast and eat hearty. But tonight, we dine in hell!